Good. Go. When you are.
Okay. Call to order the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for May 19th, 2026.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jason Halterman, Assistant Director of Planning and Zoning. I would like to submit the following exhibits for tonight's record. They are the Platte County Zoning Order of 1990 as amended, the Platte County Subdivision Regulations of 1992 as amended, the Platte County Land Use Plan, Platte County Roads Master Plan, all PowerPoint presentations with aerial maps, site plans, and plat shown here tonight, and the Planning and Zoning bylaws.
There's no objections. We'll enter those into the record.
Mr. Chairman, with your permission, we're going to shuffle the agenda slightly. We will hear agenda item 3A and 4A prior to hearing item 3B, because I believe that'll take a minute. So we'll start with agenda item 3A. Is a rezoning request concerning 16.44 acres located at 10320 Lantern Lane. Brett and Jeanette Curtis are requesting to rezone this 16.5 acres from ag to RE, which is rural estates. They wish to form a 2-lot minor subdivision, which would create one 5-acre lot, which would contain an existing single-family dwelling, and one 11-acre lot, which would be eligible for a building permit for single-family construction. This is a description of proposed zoning. Rural estates, the minimum lot size is 5 acres. The minimum lot width requirement is 400 feet. The proposed rezoning would meet these requirements. It's the aerial view of the subject properties and surrounding zonings. Let's get your bearings. We're in the middle portion of Platte County. This is N Highway, runs north and south between Parkville and Platte City. Northwest Farley Hampton Road runs back to the west and snakes its way up to Lantern Lane, which then travels and ultimately hooks back up with Northwest Hillsborough Road. The property here is outlined in yellow. It is surrounded by ag and RE zonings predominantly. This is a close-up view of the property. The proposed 5-acre lot would be over in this area here with the existing dwelling. 11 acres would be on the southern portion of this property. These are the entities that reviewed the request. They have signed the application indicating their ability to provide service. They are the Platte County Department of Public, or Platte County Health Department, Platte County Department of Public Works, Public Water Supply District number 4, Southern Platte Fire Protection District, the Southern Platte County Ambulance District, and the Platte County R3 School District. These are the minimum existing infrastructure requirements for the RE district. For roads, it's category 1, which is the minimum of a gravel surface. Asphalt surfaces of Lantern Lane and Northwest Farley Hampton Road exceed this standard. It would be serviced by a septic system. There is water available. It is within 5 miles of a fire station. This proposed rezoning does meet or exceed these requirements. This is our Platte County future land use plan map. The red arrow indicates the approximate location of the property. It falls within our agricultural policy area, which has a recommended maximum density of 1 lot per 10 acres or more. The proposed 5-acre lot, as I stated, would have an existing dwelling. 11-acre lot would be eligible for construction. We do have an exclusion in our ag policy area, which states a one-time subdivision will be allowed provided the principal tract remains 10 acres or greater. The newly created lot is no smaller than 2 acres. It contains an existing family dwelling and is not in the subdivision. So based on this exclusion, proposed rezoning does meet the recommendations of our land use plan. These were the recommendation criteria as they were listed in your staff reports. Staff recommend approval of this request to rezone from ag to RE rural estates. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Questions for staff for agenda item 3A? Comments from the audience for agenda item 3A? Discussion amongst the board. Entertain a motion.
I move to approve agenda item 3A.
Second. Seconds. All in favor, raise your right hand. Item passed unanimously.
Agenda item 4A is a request for a special use permit on a 6.19 acre lot located at 13855 Highway N. Chelsea Garnett is seeking approval of a special use permit to allow agritourism. When I say agritourism, it would consist of a seasonal U-pick flower operation in the RE zoning district. She wishes to conduct scheduled U-pick flower events and occasional farm-related sale events during the growing season on their lot. This lot currently contains an existing single-family dwelling, a barn, accessory structure, and a flower field. Our zoning order establishes seasonal U-Pick operations as a form of agritourism under our ag tourism ordinance. And the applicant is requesting this be valid for a period of 5 years. The submitted site plan shows an existing single-family dwelling. You had that in your staff reports. The existing shop, gravel surface driveways, the existing flower field, a gravel entrance to the flower field area, existing fence, and proposed grass surface parking. A little more detail on her plan. She plans to conduct 2 events per month during the growing season, which is May through October, depending on her stock, how fast flowers come back after people pick them. They are pre-ticketed events. So for a morning session, an afternoon, or early evening session. So she can control the number of people there at any one time. She stated there would be approximately maybe 30 people at each session. She would also have an occasional roadside stand where people could come and pick up a bouquet of flowers for Mother's Day or graduation or whatever. This is an aerial view of subject properties and surrounding zonings. Here we are. This is the city of Platte City. We're just south of town here. This is the property here outlined in yellow. This is a closer view of the property. The flower field area is right here. This is the site plan that was submitted with your staff reports. This is the existing dwelling, her existing shop. There's an existing creek and a stand of timber, which separates this area from her, from their dwelling and the adjoining neighbors as well. The flower field area you can see here is located in the front up close along N Highway. These are the entities that reviewed the request, signed the application, indicating their ability to provide service. They were also given an opportunity to comment. They are the Platte County Health Department, Platte City Special Road District, Public Water Supply District number 4, Platte County R3 School District, Central Platte Fire, North End Regional Ambulance District, and the cities of Platte City and Kansas City. I did not have any comments from these entities. Access and traffic, her main access with their existing driveways off N Highway. And once you pull into her driveway, there's a little gravel entrance into the flower field area where there would be grass surface parking. There's a public trail that runs along N Highway. On the staff level, we would prefer grass surface parking as opposed to a gravel parking lot along that trail to help maintain the nice scenic view of that public trail along N Highway. As I stated, they would be pre-ticketed events, so she can control the number of traffic. The existing internal driveway systems appear accurate or adequate to support this use. Our land use plan in general is supportive of ag tourism. Similar U-Pick operations, now much grander scale. Red Bar Farm, you go out there and you pick berries and pumpkins and everything you can think of just about. And then the new, it used to be Aldridge Orchard, it's now called Apple of My Eye. They do U-Pick down there as well. And they both have existing special use permits. These are the recommendation criteria listed in the staff report regarding special use permits. Staff recommends approval of this request with the following condition that it be valid for a period of 5 years. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Questions for staff?
Was this brand new or has she been doing it?
I think she's been growing for a little bit. She did mention she had a few events last year, but then I think it was just going to be an occasional thing. And at that point, weren't so concerned about it, but I think it turned in she'd like to do it more permanently. So that's what necessitated this need.
What kind of flowers?
She'd have to answer that.
Like you don't know.
Pretty.
Pretty.
Pretty ones?
Okay. Pretty one. I was just
But
curious.
she's here if you want to get specific, she
It's
can
not
answer that.
important.
Any other questions for staff? Comments from the audience for agenda item 4A? Discussion amongst the board. Did you want to? Okay. Raise your right hand. We'll need to swear you in. Raise your right hand, please. State your name and address for the record, please.
100 Broken Bridge Court, Platte City, Missouri.
Promise to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
As I said, my name is Ken Brown. I own the parcel to the south of Chelsea and Sean's grow, and couldn't be any more support.
Awesome. Thank you. Love it.
Curveball there.
Right. I love it. Any other comments from the audience for agenda item 4A?
That's the first time we've seen 5 years, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's a short one. So. Any other discussion amongst the board? Entertain a motion for agenda item 4A
I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 4A.
with the condition of 5 years.
Yes.
There's a
Second.
motion. Ooh, arm wrestle.
John,
She's John. That's right. She's drinking. John seconded. All in favor of approval of agenda item 4A, raise your right hand. Item passed unanimously.
So-
okay. Agenda item B. And first, well, when you got here tonight, you had, in your packets, you had a number of exhibits that were submitted for this item. You had exhibits submitted from February 17th, I think March 19th, April 21st, and this evening's meeting dated May 19th. Those were all provided to you in advance in your packets. I just want to acknowledge those are part of the record. When you got here this evening, you had exhibit 3B7 that was submitted after the packets went out, but I provided it to you tonight. It is a opposition petition from the residents of the Timber Ridge subdivision. It was submitted by Michelle Gellis, but it was provided to you when you got here this evening. And we are going to hear agenda item 3B, which is a request to concerning 21.6 acres located on the northwest corner of the Northwest Brinkmeyer Road, Northwest Union Chapel Road roundabout. David Barth of Forest Park Development LLC is requesting to rezone this property from ag to PR planned residential, and with the Hidden Oaks planned residential district plan. Just right off the top, staff is recommending approval of this request. Reasons for our recommendation is public infrastructure, including water and sewer, are available or will be provided to address the demands that this proposed development will place on the area. The rezoning and planned residential district plan appear to meet all applicable Platte County ordinances. It does conform to the recommendations of the Platte County Land Use Plan. There has been a storm drainage study completed by a licensed engineer. This study has been reviewed and approved by our county engineer, Hobie Crane. The applicant performed a traffic study completed by a traffic engineer. This study has also been reviewed and approved by county engineer Hobie Crane and the Parkville Special Road District. And there are similar uses and densities existing within this immediate area. So to get your bearings, here we are in the southern portion of Platte County. This is the property outlined in yellow to get to we are here. This is Highway 45. This is 435. Highway 45 that runs east into the city of Parkville. This is K Highway, also Hampton Road, which runs to the north. This is the 45 roundabout, the big roundabout, the original roundabout on 45 Highway, which then goes to the south to a smaller roundabout, which goes Union Chapel Road to the east, Brinkmeyer Road to the west. This is the property here outlined in yellow. Similar densities and zonings in the area, comparable zonings. Hidden Valley subdivision zoned R7, single family high density. Chapel Ridge overall other side of 45 Highway also zoned PR. There's Timber Ridge subdivision is zoned R80 with 2-acre lots. There are 39 lots in this subdivision. You have Thousand Oaks subdivision, saying a combination of portion in the county and portion inside the city of Parkville. It's a single family high density zoning R7 in the county portion. This here is a close up view of the property. See the first roundabout, the smaller roundabout. This is Brinkmeyer Road, Hidden Valley, Thousand Oaks, Timber Ridge. This subdivision here, the 3 or 4 lot subdivision called McCormick Addition, and this is a landscaping business that currently exists there that fronts on the Highway 45 butting up to this property. Planned residential is a different type of zoning where the zoning is the plan. What you see is what you get. He is proposing 50 lots, and he would be tied to these 50 lots for single family home. Similar, Running Horse Village is zone PR, Chapel Ridge is zone PR. The zoning is the plan. It's not like a straight R7 zoning allows a 7,500 square foot lot size. You may have a preliminary plat approved with it, but then sit on that plat for a while, but you have the existing zoning there. Come back a few years, decide you want to do something higher density, where you have that zoning as a matter of right that allows you to do that greater density. PR allows you or requires you, where you're locked into this. There's no changing it. You may be able to lose a lot, but you will not be gaining any lots. So the zoning is the plan. That's the difference in this type of zoning. It also allows some flexibility for the developer to establish his own setbacks. It does require perimeter setbacks of 50 feet around the entire perimeter of the property, but it is a hybrid type zoning. David Barr at the Forest Park Development of the state is applying to rezone this from ag to PR. Submitted the Hidden Oaks Planned Residential District Plan. It proposes to subdivide this 21.6 acres into 50 lots for single-family development, single-family homes. Each lot would be eligible for one single-family dwelling. Their lots would range in size from 8,311 square feet to 21,505 square feet. It also includes 4 private open space tracts, which will be maintained by the proposed homeowners association. Now let's talk about how we got here. You had all those exhibits in your packet. So when you first read it, probably pretty confusing, because back when he originally submitted this in February, he was proposing to do 86 townhome units. That was going to consist of 11 duplexes, 5 triplexes, 11 fourplexes, and 1 even 5plex. He was going to do attached single family townhomes. When that went out, there was a significant letter writing and email writing campaign. You were provided with those, and there was significant opposition to that plan. He took that into consideration, sat on it, and he has redesigned this plan to do 50 single family lots. And this redesigned plan does conform to the Platte County Land Use Plan, single family residential designation. Just to give you a little sense of, here's what you could have seen. This was the original submittal. You can see all these townhomes. And here's what is before you tonight. It is a significant difference. I mean, he reduced it by 36 units, went from a total of would have been 86 homes to down to 50. As required, I'll go through his plat that was submitted, the plat packet. This is his transition buffer plan. We'll get into that a little bit later. This is his landscaping plan, which is required. Showing his proposed landscaping he's going to do along the streets and whatnot. This is his proposed entrance, showing his entrance monument. A good comparison will be the Bella Ridge development. He did something similar. These are going to be maintenance provided. Their yards will be mowed. Their snow will be pushed. Their irrigation will be taken care of. They will own the dwelling, but the maintenance of the exterior, maintenance of the yards and grounds will be under the jurisdiction of the homeowners association. And this is a lighting plan that is also required. He's also required to submit elevation views with the plan. So these are the types of homes he is planning to build. These are homes actually from Bella Ridge. He's looking to recreate Bella Ridge, I think, in this location. Submitted several of these photos to give an idea of what we're talking about. These are the entities that reviewed his request and signed the application, indicating their ability to provide service. We'll get into some of them here in a little bit more detail, but they are the Platte County Regional Sewer District, Parkville Special Road District, Public Water Supply District Number 1, Southern Platte Fire, Southern Platte County Ambulance District, Park Hill School District, and the City of Parkville. These are our minimum existing infrastructure requirements for PR zoning. For roads at the Category 3, which is a minimum of 22-foot wide asphalt or concrete surface. Brinkmeyer Road and Union Chapel Road are both asphalt surface roads. They range from 24-foot to 30-foot driving surface along these roads, which does exceed the standard. There is sewer available. He will be extending the sewer line through this development. There is water available. He will extend water lines. It is within 5 miles of the fire station. This does meet or exceed our minimum existing infrastructure requirements. So here's his plan, and we'll talk about his streets His internal streets would be constructed to the local street standard and maintained by the Parkville Special Road District. They would consist of the construction of Northwest 80 or Northwest 68th Court. This is the Hidden Valley Road. This is the Hidden Valley subdivision. Hidden Valley Road intersects with Breakmeyer. He is lining up this intersection. Hidden Valley Road extension here to the north, 68th Court. This is Hidden Oak Court, little cul-de-sac. This is Northwest Pin Oak Court, another knuckle cul-de-sac. These would be constructed to the local street standard, 80 feet wide or 28 feet wide, curb back to curb back, consisting of 8 inches of asphalt with 2-foot lazy back curbs on each side. As I stated, Hidden Valley Road would be the entrance to the development. There will be no direct access for any lot to Brinkmeyer Road. There will be no direct access to any lot to Union Chapel Road to the east. Normally, I mean, you can see, and we've talked about it maybe a couple of meetings ago about connectivity to adjoining properties. We usually like to see stub outs. Occasionally, the topography doesn't allow that, and it does allow for an applicant to request a waiver to that requirement. This plat does contain that waiver. There is no stub out to any of these properties here to the north. That being said, it kind of, at some point in time, don't know when, but it's anticipated that maybe these are going to develop at some sort of higher density or whatever, and don't necessarily want that to be a cut through from what may happen on these lots to Brinkmeyer Road. So in this case, we're supportive of the waiver to that connectivity requirement to any of these properties here to the north, and it is pretty rough topography to get there, and the plat does contain this waiver. He is required to do a half-street road improvement along his property frontage. Union Chapel roadside is nice, good curb and gutter, storm sewers. Once you get around that roundabout corner along Brinkmeyer Road, the north side, it's just a roadside ditch. So he will be installing curb and gutters and storm drainage to finish out, Brinkmeyer Road along that north side. So both sides of that road now will have the curb and gutter and proper storm drainage along that stretch of street, and which will finish out that in this area. He did a traffic impact study. We have a traffic impact study ordinance, and this number of lots did not trigger that, but the Parkville Special Road District requested that he do a traffic study. So Road District requested that. We told him he needed to do one. He did do that. It did not find any additional improvements or need to be made beyond the curb and gutter. It'll be a 4-way stop intersection. Right now, it's currently a 3-way stop. When he puts his entrance there, it would be a 4-way stop, and it would function at an acceptable level of service. That traffic study was completed by a traffic engineer. It's been accepted by a county engineer and the Parkville Special Road District. He also did a stormwater study. That study, as I stated, has been reviewed and approved by the county engineer, Toby Crane. Tract A, as you see here, is going to be a wet bottom detention. So a detention pond, it'll stay wet. He's added a dry detention basin here in Tract B to help slow down stormwater. Currently, there is drainage from this way across Brinkmeyer. There's drainage from this way to down through here. And there's no way to stop it right now. So he's going to add this detention to slow down stormwater in addition to what is as well. And for a stormwater study, the goal is there's an existing condition. He cannot put any more. It has to be either equal to or less than what is discharged currently from the site. And he does meet those requirements, and it has been reviewed and approved, like I stated, by Hobie. There's a stream that goes through this property here, and he has a 50-foot stream buffer setback along that stream. So it'll help protect that stream, a total width of 100 feet, which will prevent any development from within this creek bed, which it conforms to our transition stream buffer ordinance. All right, I'm gonna skip through several of these slides. He was required to do a transition and landscape buffer. It lists several options to achieve this, they are existing vegetation and trees, gradual change in density, existing or man-made or natural features, a landscape buffer, open space, cluster tile development, perimeter setbacks, berms, fencing, or other. The submitted transition buffer plan includes the use of preserving existing trees and vegetation in areas, as well as perimeter setbacks and tree plantings throughout the plan. This was the transition buffer that's included in your staff reports here. The 50-foot buffer around the perimeter. The green areas are where he will be preserving the trees as much as possible. And then here is his landscaping plan where he will add additional trees. He'll add additional trees along this Union Chapel and Brinkmeyer here on the east side. He'll be planting some here along the west side as well, and then along his street itself. This is our Platte County future land use plan once again. This red arrow indicates the approximate location of the property. It falls within the South Highway 45 focus area of our land use plan. And this area is designated for single family residential. You can see here in the yellow, this is the location of the property right here. The single family residential recommends 1 to 4 dwelling units per acre. And this 21 acres is to be subdivided into 50 lots. So that equates to 2.3 units per acre. So he's right in the middle of that recommended density. His previous townhome project was high, but if you just went straight single family, he could do, I think we figured 88 lots and still be the 4 units per acre, but he's only proposing 50. So he's right in the middle of that. So his request does conform to the land use plan. Parkland, according to our regulations and our parkland formula, he was required to dedicate 2.5 acres of usable parkland. The plat contains a note that in order to satisfy that, we allow you to do alternative things. In this case, he's going to construct a sidewalk along Brinkmeyer Road and Union Chapel Road up to the roundabout on Highway 45 and connect to the Southern Platte Pass Trail. Apparently, there's no sidewalk on the north side of Brinkmeyer Road, and there's no connection to that trail for these residents. So it'll allow people to get up to that trail, that public trail, and loop all the way around down into the Creekside development, which is where it goes. And then he has, so there's a note that says the developer shall elect to construct the sidewalk along Brinkmeyer Road, Northwest Union Chapel Road up to the Highway 45 roundabout and connect to the Southern Platte Pass Trail, or pay cash in lieu of parkland. So one way or another, he can pay us the money to put the sidewalk in, or he'll most likely do it when he's constructing. Like I said, this will allow the neighbors the connection to that trail. Tracks A and B are to be preserved as private open space and detention. He also has tracks C and D, which are to be reserved as private open space. And these will be maintained by the homeowner association. PR also requires him to submit maintenance and upkeep standards for the property. So you can see when those photos that we went through showing Bella Ridge and how he's going to mirror it, similar type things. There's design requirements that he has. There's one correction that should be in there. It doesn't mention track D. The final version will mention track D as private open space and those maintenance and upkeep standards. But he outlines the services that will be provided by the HOA, and that includes it defines the common areas, it outlines the prohibited conditions, outlines inspection requirements, outlines the HOA provided services and homeowner responsibilities, and establish enforcement mechanisms for that. And it'll all be incorporated in the HOA declaration and highlights. As I stated, we are recommending approval of this request based on that there are adequate public services and utilities in place so they can be provided. It does meet the requirements of our subdivision regulations. The general layout and development is adequate and compatible to the surrounding area and topographical conditions. And there are similar residential uses and densities in this area. Staff recommends approval with the following conditions: that the county commission approves the request to rezone from ag to PR and the planned residential district plan. So it still has to go to the county commission for final approval. That development must be compliant with our stormwater standards, including APWH Chapter 5600, that all stormwater facilities, the pipes, manholes, junction boxes, intersections, detention facilities located outside of the public right of way shall be maintained by the homeowners association, and that he construct that sidewalk along Brinkmeyer Road and Union Chapel Road up to the roundabout, or pay cash in lieu of parking land. That said, I'm available for any questions you may have. I'm sure you have some. And Daniel and Hobie are here as well, so we'll probably all get up.
Jason, what are you going to say about the Public Works Supply District Number 1? In quotes, an engineering hydraulic study will be needed to perform the determine. When does that happen?
Prior to construction phase. I mean, this is just a grand plan, the idea that, I mean, we can only require somebody to spend so much money on this is just a plan. When it comes down to the rubber meets the road and he gets into construction, then he will have to do those studies for those independent districts.
You said that there's a 50-foot
Perimeter,
setback
Yep.
perimeter,
buffer setback. So no structures can be built within that 50
even on
foot.
that green area.
Even on the green area. Yeah. Yep. Even on that green area. Nothing can be,
And
like that can be constructed.
the other thing I had was the four-way stop.
Mhm.
And you said that they're going to construct a curb and a sewer on that north side
Mhm.
of that east-west road.
Mhm.
There's no turning lanes.
Nope.
There's no, it's not going to widen that road.
Well, it's already fairly wide right now. I mean, he's dedicating an additional 10 feet of right of way to accommodate that.
Just a traditional four-way stop.
Yeah, just a traditional four-way stop. It's functioned as a three-way for decades at this point. And 50 lots didn't add the need for a turn lane based on that traffic study.
Do we know approximately how many lots are in Hidden Valley?
Around between 300 and 400 in Hidden Valley. I mean, these lots here are a little larger than that first phase that are directly across the road. These are a little bit larger than that, but I think there's around 300 or 400 in Hidden Valley. I mean, Thousand Oaks is big, about 1,300 ultimately. Timber Ridge has 39 total lots. Now they're bigger. I mean, they're 2-acre lots, but there's 39. I mean, he's proposing 50.
Does it enter onto Brinkmeyer or is it only 45?
Only 45.
So I noticed in one of the letters that there was an error or several errors in the storm water drainage study.
Yeah.
Can
And
we elaborate on that?
that's part of the process.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the reason why it's been tabled 4 times is because it wasn't approved, and we review these things. That's our job, is to find errors and get those worked out before it even gets to you. We don't, if it's something that's not wrapped up and good, we don't come to you yet. So
Those have been addressed.
Those have been
This was
addressed.
In the newest.
yes,
of the
yes, those
stuff.
have been addressed. Hobie is satisfied. He reviewed it and he is satisfied. But yeah, there were errors in it, and so he made sure those errors were correct.
Not questioning you, I just wasn't questioning.
That's a good question.
You mentioned earlier that in your opening statements that Chapel Ridge is just like across, part of it's just across 45. You also mentioned that it's a PR
It is.
zoning as well.
Yes, sir.
And what kind of residences does that include?
They're only single family.
Strictly single?
Strictly
family?
single family. Yeah. There was, you may or may not remember this, but the current developer had a piece on the corner of Highway 45 and K, and it's been 15 years at least probably since he was here. He rezoned some of that up along K Highway to neighborhood commercial, and in the back half, he had PR and he was going to do similar type there. Ultimately, he sold that, and that plan is still approved, but the person that bought it, I don't ever suspect is going to do it. But yeah, there is other PR in the area. Yeah. But it's all single.
How many-
It's all single
How many
family.
single families in Chapel Ridge? I think that was a long drawn out procedure.
About 300. There you go, 364.
And you said that this was kind of mirroring Bella Ridge. Was Bella Ridge a PR also?
Yes, Bell Ridge is PR also. Yes. Yep. Yes, sir.
Jason, how do you go about determining who's going to be the one to determine the transition and landscaping buffer? I mean, there's so many different varieties there. I mean, is that up to the applicant?
The applicant submitted his plan, And it's a combination of those options. And
So he's flexible.
I mean, that's what he submitted to us and it meets our requirements. It's a combination of those items.
The way that ordinance is written, it's meant to be like a menu of things, but not every property is the same. And the ordinance kind of dictates, okay, if there's certain uses next to other uses, the transition might is needed. And then they give you a laundry list, a menu of different types of transitions. And then it's up to the developer to submit a plan.
Okay.
For you all to consider that plan.
Okay.
And that's what we have here.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
He's saying,
He's saying, here's what I'm doing. I'm leaving trees. I've got a 50-foot setback around the perimeter. He's adding trees in areas that may be a little thin.
Maybe fence.
Is there still flexibility in this? I guess.
That would be up to the developer.
Can you show me the orientation of the dam? So and where the inundation areas would be?
Let me get back here. I'm going to turn that one over to Hobie, I think. The dam.
I'm scared to talk to us.
There's the dam
What's he saying about
right here.
So
And there's the existing channel, drains into the existing channel.
did I see 15 feet line?
Yes. Yep.
And where would the back, where would be, is that on everything is ground? Right. Down?
Yes. Yeah, this is the wet part. And then the dry is here, which holds it back and then releases it into the wet.
Would be. Sure. So planning to make sure that, they can inundate and properties if they're building.
yeah, it's a start with one.
The corridor, you had your cursor on there, is there a stream buffer there? How's that look?
There's a stream buffer, but he's piping the stream, which is allowed. Yeah, which is allowed. Yeah.
Goes into a pipe?
But there's still 100-foot buffer.
Yes.
100-foot strip is natural.
No, not through there. Not where he's piping the stream. No, not where he's piping the stream. Yeah, it goes underground. Yeah, not right there.
But the vegetation is,
The strip, vegetative strip right here. You can see, yeah, the skinny strip, there's still a vegetation strip there, separating these lots. 30, 33, 32 maybe.
Yep.
So is there a provision for long-term maintenance? So if the detention basin starts to fill in with sediment, maybe faster than anticipated, the applicant required to maintain the
Yep.
engineering?
All detention facilities outside of the public right of way are on the responsibility of the homeowners association.
It's just a charging provision.
Yeah.
That requirement was not as existed 10, 15 years ago, but now it does. Notice it's a recommendation for that to be a condition. It's very clear that the home association is responsible for storm sewer infrastructure that lie outside of the public right of way. That would include the detention basin.
Is there a track record of that kind of system working okay?
We haven't really had to test it. I mean, it's that most of the stuff that has that provision is somewhat new. We haven't gotten to the point of filtration, but they're not going to argue that they weren't aware because it's pretty clearly in the condition of the approval.
County have enforcement provisions for that, or how's that do?
It would be, yeah, technically, if it became obvious that it wasn't being maintained to the point of causing damage, or it'd be a violation of the condition of the approved preliminary plat. So it'd be followed through a normal code violation proceeding.
And that would be against the homeowners association.
Like I said, we haven't gotten to that point yet, but in theory, just hypothetically, that's how that would happen.
I had one more question. Jason, you mentioned the properties to the north that may develop out at some time.
Mhm.
If they do, where would they gain access to the road now?
It would be off 45 highway. No, where MoDOT was granted, that's your guess is as good as mine. I can't answer that. Awful close to that roundabout. If anything, it'd be right in, right out only. But I don't know how they would At this point in time, I'd
Okay.
like to tell you I know, but I don't.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's three separate pieces there.
Question,
Thank you.
question for Hobie. Hobie, currently, just the way it is down there right now, what would you estimate the acreage of runoff is that would be going into what the proposed track B is? Right now, they're taking water from south of Brinkmeyer, some of Hidden Valley, is that right? And maybe even up towards the roundabout and towards 45.
I think
Right now, how many acres are draining through that?
I think into detention basin, the dry basin on track B, there's about 25 acres south of Brinkmeyer. And then I believe it's about 9 acres just from the development that would drain in there. So 30, 40 acres probably.
It's currently going in to the stream buffer, the stream area,
Right.
unregulated,
Right, correct.
uncontrolled,
Correct.
just the normal.
Yeah, it just drains through underneath. There's a pipe that crosses under Brinkmeyer that conveys all the water that's on the south side into the creek. And then, of course, the road is not there now, but it just continues flowing through the creek that goes all the way through the property.
So track B would be a temporary holding basin that's regulated through a certain size pipe to,
Yep. No, it's going to be a permanent detention basin.
Yes.
It'll just be dry. It'll have a,
but it serves for temporary storage and allows it out at a controlled
Correct.
pace.
correct.
And then in the wet area, it's taking more drainage in
Correct.
addition to B
Yes.
and will have a tower structure inside of it that
Right. Both of them,
regulates.
they'll have a junction box with openings in it, and then pipes will flow out of that, out of both of those.
It's an uncontrolled outlet.
The openings have been sized properly to release the water at the required rates. But the lower one, the wet basin, it's got 3 openings. I believe they're 8-inch diameter, and they're set at an elevation that's going to be the normal pool of the detention basin.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Hearing none, would the applicant like to make a presentation? I'm going to make a limit for 20 minutes. And then the opposition will have 20 minutes as well. As long as the cameras can pick you up, I think it's your call, Mr. Barth. State your name and address for the record, please.
David Barth, 19015 Northwest Southbridge Road, Flat City.
Promise to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Go ahead, Mr. Barth.
Just sit here.
Again, I'm David Barth. It's Forest Park Development is the applicant, but I'm the manager of it, and it's my brother and I. But I think this has gone on for about 5 months in the delays, and I apologize to everybody for any of the delays. I think at first, my dad developed Hidden Valley other than the very first phase, and it went bankrupt, and he bought it halfway finished. And I think it's 304 somehow in my head, the total amount. And so in the middle of that, I'm just trying to show you kind of how things evolved. The road ended at Hidden Valley. It was a mud road past that. When we looked at Thousand Oaks for the first time, it was 333 acres. That was abandoned by Saddle Club Estates to the south of that. And it was basically, people thought they couldn't develop it because it had equestrian trails. So we platted it, took the equestrian trails out. It wasn't part of Saddle Club ever. And that's how Thousand Oaks first started. But we brought the road all the way to the entrance in Nevada into Thousand Oaks. And it was actually going to be called Hidden Valley West. And then my dad passed away and we named it Thousand Oaks instead. And kind of did that right at that time. But Hidden Valley, still was going when we very first started. And so, we kind of, feel like we're very involved in this area. I know this area very well in this piece of land. We feel privileged that we finally, the group that owned it, that still owns the part on the north side on 45, were privileged that they would sell it to us. And I think they sold it to us, and I won't speak for them at all, that because they think we do a good job. And so, I don't like everything that every development does either. And so what I would just say from my heart is that I really feel that for the first time, we were going to have some kind of, set up where, Thousand Oaks is now 1,300 acres or whatever it is. And we just had bought pretty much all the way down to the lower areas by the train setup now down at the river off of River Road. But, really what's happened is as things evolve, you get better at it is what you hope. And so privileged to do this and just stating, we thought there was going to be such a demand, and we still know in our hearts that there is, my brother and I, that people are going to want a type of property like the Bella Ridge that we're doing right now that is maintenance provided. And we thought the attached, we were so set that we were going to prove that you could go into a place and go, well, that's really nice. And you got zero entry and you can be in a wheelchair. My dad was in a wheelchair for 7 years before he passed away. So I do understand that. And you could go right into the houses. And so it's basically a zero entry all the way through. And we have a lot of houses at Bella Ridge that with this same zoning in the same unincorporated Platte County that happens there. And it's right next to Montebello. And we were so excited last year that we connected phase 3 and 4 Bella Ridge to Montebello 5, 6, and 7. And it's been nothing but a huge success there, in Riverside, Bella Ridge being in the county and Montebello being in Riverside, all other than the very last phase 7 we've done in Montebello is also in the county. And so we ride this between city and county all the time. Thousand Oaks, they involuntary, annex half of it. We have to deal with all of that. So does the county, so does the cities at that point. But when we go back to this, we just thought such a demand that people could say, because we get this in Bella Ridge, I know who's buying it's a proven winner. It's not like we aren't doing this right now. So we know the demand that's there, and we know what the builders are telling us all the time, that they really want to see more and more maintenance provided. Okay. And so our thought was attached maintenance provided. Is it our specialty? We're doing it at Running Horse now. No, it's not. Single family is our specialty. So, we just felt like we were just attacked, on this. And again, I understand everybody has their opinion. We thought for the first time we'd built something attached that when people went by thought, wow, somebody could live there, either move from Thousand Oaks or their kids and grandkids live in Thousand Oaks or Hidden Valley. And we just thought that was going to be such a hit right there. And we also knew that then we could protect what's there because it's a little bit overgrown. You can't even see the barns. I don't think that it's being maintained. Okay. There is a waterway through it, but it's not the most attractive. You're not looking at 200 pine trees that you stop to take a look. Most people just go right on by and don't even realize that it's there. And so, but it is wooded and treed, but what a great location. So I guess what I would state is so it didn't go over well. We sure got a backlash of what we were going to build. And, we were caught off guard. I'm not going to lie. I mean, why would we, we built all those areas. We still do. We just opened 111 lots in Thousand Oaks. We called it the estates. We made them 30% bigger in the back. And, why? So we were caught a little bit off guard. So we pulled it the first time. Okay. And I really think that, there was a good chance it would go through, but we want to, we live in this community and plan on staying in this community. And we think that, so we listened. So we went from 86, we actually went to 55. I'm just kind of stating a few things are a little different. Our submittal was for 50, but when we got to 55 single family, and it didn't just go through the Buford group, it also goes, as far as design, it also goes through Jason Meyer, who does all of our master plans. So I went all the way back to him. He's the one that drew the front back. And so we were at 55. So even then I said, okay, so let's look at that cul-de-sac back there as you go around the roundabouts. I was on all the committees to design the roundabouts, 45 and the butterfly one, et cetera. So I'm very familiar with that. And so I took a lot out on that and thought, we'll do this deal we do at Bella Ridge where we don't just landscape buffer, we hardscape, do some really cool curved walls. One of the pictures earlier, I took those pictures, is Bella Ridge where it has that. And that's where they were going to double back to a road just like this. So instead of just doing the trees, you come in, hardscape through, turn, and it's just stunning enough that that's a picture I want to show of Bella Ridge. The same size houses, the same price range, etc. And so we took that lot out. Then I looked real hard on the corners at Bella Ridge. We've had a couple times because we haven't, the houses are getting way bigger footprints when they go to reverses. Everybody used to build a 2-story. Well, now these rolling hills of Platte County, you fall off the edge of the earth. So you got to plan different. So the hardest thing we had to sell is our scrap lots 20 years later because they were designed for 2 stories. Everybody wants to reverse. So we've had to back into all our new stuff and build deeper. Instead of planting 105 feet from center of the street, 120, 125. So they get a good backyard too. So we look at this when we do this because we know these will all be reverses. There won't be any 2 stories. They are not the same plan. This is not a generic slap it in and rent it. It's not. It's exactly Bella Ridge, probably be the same builders generally as building all our subdivisions. And I can state here that Bella Ridge, averages over 700,000 in 3 and 4 in the back. We sold one the other day for 870 a build job, and so I think there's been a real, misunderstanding that somehow we're building a rental project. And, I'm a big believer that if someone lived in Thousand Oaks or Stonegate there that we developed, it's all 2-acre tract average. They can rent their house if they want. Situations happen in people's lives. We don't feel like we could control that. We're in no way thinking that this is going to be developed though for rental property. I mean, it wouldn't hit our business model to rent something at 700, 800,000. So these are, pretty much, we took the plats, the footprints, and from the houses, the houses at Bella Ridge. And there were 2 corners that were a little tight. I took them out. Okay, so they're not. So every house that we do at Bella Ridge, on the average, very easily, our bigger plans all fit on this. So we know that this is already lays out fine. It lays out very fine and efficient to build single family homes in a maintenance provided. The other thing that we looked at was the other 2 lots of the 5 I took out after we went to 55 residential. And they're not necessary to take out at all. It was right at the front entrance. And it made sense to me. And I'm just trying to show you from a developer standpoint how we do want to build something nice and attractive because we want people to live there that love living there and raise the bar. That's what our intent is. That this is going to be a very nice subdivision, and I kind of get offended sometimes on the attacks we get. They get very personal. You've seen the list of the stuff. And so, but again, so we took the 2 lots out at the front entrance. If you look at it going in, the one on the left, you wouldn't have to take it out for any reason. It lays perfect. But we're going to do a sign there. And if you looked at that I had Jason Meyer design, and it's real similar to one we did actually at Silverbrook, where it's double-sided. You go in, there won't be a house on either side. When we did the waterfall at Thousand Oaks, there's a big monument on the right. There's still a platted lot on the right. We never built on it 28 years later because it didn't fit right. So we're real careful that way. So we met, it was too tight then. Well, this one's not. So we look at this ahead of time. So how could we make this look going down Brinkmeyer Road? We're improving the road. We're putting storm and curb. What's that? $500,000? I mean, it's not like we're not improving Brinkmeyer. And so it'll be nice. You'll come around the Butterfly. We took the lot out there. Now you'll be able to see all that fancy hardscape with landscape, all maintained by the HOA. These people all their yards are maintained. They can't, if they put a fence up, which we only allow like around a patio, kids have a small dog. Most of the people in Bella Ridge are retired. We don't mow inside that. Most of them put AstroTurf down. They put it super neat. If they have a dog, they have it cleaned every week. But everything else, we don't allow fences in this. It's all mowed by the HOA. All the sprinklers are on the outside of the house. We figured this system out finally. And we monitor all of those. We get to control the water. No one else. We know exactly what we do. And so, can you get a nicer look instead of every house, somebody saying they don't mow their yard? Do you know how many calls I get where people going, they're dumping grass clippings in the park. behind their house. And then, I get that every other day somewhere, one of the subdivisions, 7 bridges at most. But honestly, so we took the 2 lots out there. So when you go in, you're not going to see anything. The other side, going back to that, you already had a giant hole there. It's rough. And so, sure, that's the beginning of the detention, but then of course goes to the other side of the road there. And so I took the lot out. So now, just in case in the detention that's there, we have to make it bigger. There's no lot there. I mean, how much more open can you get at a front entrance? It's way more open than Thousand Oaks. And so, going back to the buffer thing, and I know I'm speaking fast here, but, give us a little freedom to try to lay out what we think's best. I mean, when we started at Thousand Oaks, you think there was a waterfall in the first plan? No, but it got famous later. But it was still hey, what can we do here? We spent so much time at that entrance, even on the timber ridge. We built the wall there on the other side so the street could be way lower, nicer. They don't have an entrance as a subdivision entrance into 45. There's an old road from one of the houses that tied in later, but Brinkmeyer Road, I mean, Brinkmeyer Road, we did half of it around the lake that we still put into a wildlife deal on the left as you go around out to the front. And then when we built Stonegate, we put the whole other half and put curb in everything. We paid for that. We didn't even have to do the Brinkmeyer. We volunteered it. And so we think we're doing something here that's really nice quality. So we listened. We went from 86, 55 down to 50, trying to build nothing but quality, 700 average, have a proven exactly Bella Ridge that's in the same county, same zoning, same houses. I mean, I just don't see anything that, that we're missing. I mean, so our goal is that we still want to do better and better and better. I would state this because I do think that the way the creek goes through there, it sure looks like already there's heavy flow going in from what we've already got information on. And so these slow it down dramatically. And, I have the engineer here will tell you how much, but it's not a little bit. So we're a huge improvement. And so what I was going to when I know the concern that's going to come up about detention, I would tell you that, as getting better and learning more about this business, we're definitely going to build the detention. But as we start, we're in no rush here. We have still ample phases to do around this area at Thousand Oaks. And, Hidden Valley, Thousand Oaks, that's the name, Hidden Oaks. I mean, it's kind of a thing with my dad, so, but I can tell you now that it's nothing but quality. We'll put the detention basins in from the very beginning. And so that way you will have to disturb a little bit. I mean, there's a dilapidated barn and we're going to have to get some dirt to build the dams right for the detention, but I think it's 15 feet. I mean, we have a 47-acre one at, at Thousand Oaks. It's a lake, and, so it's not, to us, this is a very healthy, good size 50 lots, but it's not 500. It's not 5,000. It's 50. And so when we were delayed before, sure wasn't intentional. We had to do a traffic study because someone got to the road district. Okay. So we did it and we knew what would come back, that 50 lots, which is, that's just a normal phase going into a subdivision that we do all the time. And so, but respectively, it did delay us. Did we want the delays or pay for that? No, but we did because we think we want to make sure that we're in good standing with the group here. And I apologize if the 86 was a bad thing. I think it would have looked gorgeous. I'm going to still figure out somewhere to do something like that. So I am. Yeah, no, if anybody had any questions, or you can ask later or now, but I will tell you that, the only thing I think that got missed, and I always tell you anything that I know, I'm sure against connecting up to the other side because we don't own that ground on 45. And I don't think it should connect to where people would shortcut. So the one thing I would say is this: one of the other reasons that cul-de-sac on that corner, and I don't know if you guys can see something, but the reason, as you go around the butterfly and you'll see all our cool landscaping all the way down the road on Brinkmeyer, is that, to me still, I remember people opposed Hidden Valley when the second phase is on, when my dad did it. And, I was in high school, I think. But everybody said, what if a plane crashed at the front? There was only one way in. Well, when we did Thousand Oaks, there's more. But in this one now, there's one way in. And so that's one of the reasons that even with the hardscape, we'll make sure for emergency that you can drive through the grass and go to Brinkmeyer if there was an emergency and something happened at the front. So I just thought I should bring that up. It really wasn't ever stated anywhere, but that's why it's drawn like that too. And so if you did get stuck in there and something happened in the front, I mean, one time at Thousand Oaks in the back, they had a house on fire, and once the trucks came, I was trapped in a place. And so this way here at least gives you a drivable way out, in my opinion. And so, I don't think it's a requirement. We're doing that anyway, since there's one way in, but we feel really good about this plan. And, I'm sorry that we went through a deal where there was a lot of things that people thought we were going to build that was trashy, and it wasn't the case before. And, there's been some stuff that's been so dense in different places. Sure, not what we're wanting to do, or I would have sent 55 to you instead of 50. So that's all I have. I really appreciate your time. And if you have any questions,
Or I'm a little confused about that last. I don't know what a butterfly is, and I don't know where you're talking about. Can you point that, Jason?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So in this roundabout right here, there's a butterfly garden.
They call it the butterfly
Oh,
roundabout
okay.
because they plant flowers for butterflies there.
Okay.
There's a butterfly.
I'm sorry.
It's
all right.
Yeah, it's already there,
So where's the place that if you had to drive through the grass with an emergency vehicle?
right there.
Right there. Okay.
Yeah, across from that driveway. So if something happened, I still think that's important. So we're gonna, that's our plan, And so I am asking, for approval of this. So I'm formally asking for that. I will say that we meet, if lots of time gets spent with water, sewer, et cetera. Don't think those meetings haven't already occurred. So we did get approval from all of them. All they can say right now, without design, of course, this is a preliminary in rezoning, is that it's available. But don't think we haven't had meetings, and we think it's going to be a great addition. And we listened to what people said, and we went from 86 to 50. So really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. The spokesman for the organized opposition. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm gonna get you pulled up. You're going first. Yep.
Maybe not.
There we go.
So like what am I doing? You know, the flash, support.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. Oh, swear you in. State your name and address for the record, please. Promise to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Roberts.
Does that sound all right?
Okay, sounds great.
Good evening, everyone. Platte County Planning and Zoning Commission. I'd like to thank you for your service. We really do appreciate it. Before I get started with my presentation, I'd like to stress one thing: moderation. For the past few years, there's been kind of a sense of urgency across the country. Oh, you need to pass this. You need to pass it right now. You see this with developers and stuff. That we need housing, and there's just kind of just a story that everything needs to be passed very quickly. that's been taken back a little bit recently in the press, where they're realizing now that, 1/3 of the homes in America are owned by baby boomers. So there's going to be an enormous number of homes coming on the market here soon. And, they're saying there actually might end up being a home surplus at some point in the future. And so, like, my point is that when you look at a lot of what are considered the better developments around the United States, a lot of these were done slowly. They weren't just done in one night. They were done over time. I think that I appreciate the changes that have been made so far to this and lowering its density, but I still think that there are some other changes that need to be made to it, a few more to like tweak it a little bit more. And I just don't think that we should necessarily just be in a hurry to rush this through in one night, and that we should maybe look and make a few more changes to it. Some of these changes involve, I think, some of the density, and they affect our property values. They affect, the creek that runs right through my property, the watershed, and there might be some safety risks as well. And I'll go through those here quickly, so I'm not taking up a lot of your time. And as a side note too, there was a public petition up over this too. That had over like 500 people sign it. So it's not just a few people sounding off. There are a number of people that don't want that land to be rezoned from to the planned residential. Okay. It's not going back though. Don't use my time for this stuff.
We're probably, here, maybe might not be able to read it. There we go.
But I wanted to go backwards, and it's not letting me go backwards. Okay, there it goes. Okay. Okay. So here, I thought I was going to have a pointer here, but I don't. But you can see there that there's in the turquoise is where the development is. And as they pointed out already, I won't spend a lot of time on this. You can see it, but there's a creek they say that goes through, but they don't say where that creek continues to go. If you look up in the northwest corner of it there, that creek, runs through my property, and then it runs through the neighboring Sayre property. He's here as well. And then that creek runs under 45 Highway, and then down along Thousand Oaks, and then eventually about a mile down into Smart Lake. And so almost all the water from this development is going to end up in that creek. And it's going to go right over through my property. So, I'm a little worried about that. And in addition to that, what you talked about before, they're going to put a large dam right there. And you can see there, like, that's the look of my backyard. And the dam is going to be kind of where that white box is. And not only is the dam on the edge of my property, it kind of sits up higher. It's hard to really appreciate what this land is like, but it deals with a lot of like really steep inclines. And the development actually sits up above my property. So not only is there a dam there, but it's at a higher elevation. And it's going to be about 90 feet wide at the bottom and 15 feet tall. It's going to put our property in, a dam inundation zone, which we were never notified of at all. And so I was just like researching, it's like, well, this is going to put our property in inundation zone. But like nobody even told us of this effect until I was looking into it, which is why, I requested from the county, an emergency action plan, which would, outline all of this and talk about what could possibly happen. And if you look at it in the news, if you do a search like on a 90-foot dam, I mean, these dams fail regularly. It's not going to fail tomorrow, but at some point it'll fail. And, and when they do fail, they're like, well, back in the day, they shouldn't have passed this as they did. And they should have made these other changes and put in more safety measures. And that's, one of the things I was asking for is having an emergency action plan for this, requiring it with the plat, which would, ensure a higher standard of safety and oversight on it. Because it is a little threatening to have this, large dam right there on the edge of your property. It's not only on the edge of your property, but above you as well. And when I'm not an engineer, but when I was looking through all this, I was doing a lot of research on this and reading. And one thing you often see is this, in some of the literature I was looking at was this developer's fallacy, where developers typically just want to talk about peak runoff. Again, this does slow peak runoff, but then it's almost like the magician, where with one hand they're distracting you over here, but then doing, something else with the other hand. And what you're seeing here is talking about reducing the peak discharge, but the overall volume of water will actually increase just because more roofs mean more runoff. So the actual volume of water coming down will increase. I've run this through AI a number of times. I checked it with Hobie to make sure it's true. And, this is a traditional, developer stormwater studies tend to focus on peak outflow, but, they overlook the total volume, which causes a lot of other problems. And the answer to this can be lower density. Okay, sorry. Based on the data here provided by the developer, and mind you, this is the developer study. When I ran this study through AI, which I'll talk about more here in a minute, like it was questioning this, saying that the real water is probably actually going to be more than this, and AI actually flags us saying beware of developer study. But anyway, The 1 year storm of this, from pre-development to post-development, there'd be about an additional 18,000 cubic feet of water coming down the creek from every storm. For 10-year storms, there'd be about an additional 26,000 cubic feet of water coming down the creek from every storm. And from 100-year storms, there'd be about an additional, 31,000 cubic feet of water coming down from every storm. That's from the developer's own study there. And I ran those numbers by Hobie too. So that's a substantial amount of water coming down the creek. What does this mean? It basically means that for every storm there, on top of the water that's already coming down our creek, that's going to be the equivalent of 6 to 15 swimming pools of water being dumped into our creek every storm. It's like tanker trucks just dumping this water. And it's not just flow, it's hundreds of thousands of gallons of additional water coming down the creek from every storm. Like this development sits high, it all drains into one creek, and that one creek goes right through our property. As I said, you guys already brought this up, so I don't want to dwell on it, but in these developer studies, when I was asking not Hobie a lot of questions, we both realized that there are just a lot of errors in these studies. That's a little disturbing to me that, they were going to have this dam right here on the edge of our property and that there were so many errors in the studies on all of this. So what is all this? How does all this equate? So if you see here, here's a photo that looks out over my back property there. And you can see that up there at the very top, it shows you where Hidden Oaks is going to be. So as I said, Hidden Oaks is not only on the edge of our property, but it also is above our property. And you see there's about a 27-degree slope coming down onto our property. And there on the right, there's about a 29-degree slope. From what I measured these myself. And then like over to the upper right, it's not in the picture there, that's where the dam would be right there, like kind of in the top right outside of the actual photo. But it's a fairly steep incline coming down into my property. And all of this additional water coming down to that creek, there are a lot of structures along the creek that this could potentially affect as well. Like we live in a 1930s home. There are historic structures there along the creek, like this Welland Dam. Eventually just the increased erosion from the increased water is probably, is going to continue to erode that creek there, and it's going to affect these structures. There's a bridge there that we need to access the back part of the property that, the abutments there are going to be washed out from the increased water coming down the creek. And that's a cost that I'll have to incur, that my family will have to incur, that the developer, isn't going to have to pay for it, all of this damage that this is going to cause. As you can see here with these trees, it's going to wash out more of these trees. Each one of those trees that comes down is a cost that we have to incur. And then this is going to go on down to the neighbor's property, this there, who's, I think he's going to speak here at the end. And you see that the creek there runs alongside his barn here at the neighboring property, and same issue there with the erosion along the creek and so forth, and the additional amount of water. And it's eventually going to affect these structures. But this doesn't just really end here at our property. Like this creek, as I said, it goes all the way down to Smart Lake. And this isn't something that I'm just like making up out of thin air right now, the issues with this creek. I mean, this has been a concern for people for a few years. And, I included in there a letter from David Pico, who used to sit on the commission here, that he wrote to the Army Corps of Engineers back in 2022, talking about problems with this creek, that it's just completely saturated with water. And you can see these are some pictures that he took back in 2022 that he sent to the Army Corps of Engineers, alerting them about these problems of this creek. And so, you're going to be dumping, just so much more water is going to be coming down this creek. And it's going to, affect everything all the way from my property all the way down. What do you do? What are the solutions to this? I was thinking about this. I was looking it up. I talked to people, AI. I mean, number one thing I keep coming across is it just needs lower density and more green spaces to absorb water. If it just had some more green spaces. What's that?
You're at 9 minutes, just to let you know.
Okay. It would absorb more of this. And so that's the main point I want to make, is more green spaces. Other concerns is I wish it had larger buffer setbacks. Right now they're at about 50 feet, which is the bare minimum. At one point it puts retaining walls right up inches from our property. Like I don't even know how you can build those, like when they're like inches from our property, retaining walls, without coming onto our property. And just, a larger setback would be more aesthetically pleasing. That's the main thing I want to talk about. Some of the other stuff you've seen in the letters with the restrictive covenants and other wildlife and others. So, but I'll let Michelle talk now so she can have the time.
Here you can see some of the wildlife that's currently on the way underground.
Can I talk for just a minute about the Timber Ridge petition without kind of cutting into my time? One of the things that,
We'll need to swear you in
oh,
regardless.
sorry about that. Yes,
From Tell the Truth and Nothing But the Truth.
yes.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Michelle Gillis, 6809 Cedar Bend, Parkville, Missouri, 64152.
Thank you, ma'am.
Before I start my presentation, I am the one that submitted the petition that was circulated in Timber Ridge. As the county stated, we have 39 homes in there. I'm only short 5 signatures, and those are 4 unoccupied homes that are due to various reasons, foreclosure, somebody who's in a nursing home, someone whose home was under renovation, and one gentleman who didn't want to sign because he told me he's friends with Mr. Barth. So when I say that the opposition in my neighborhood is fairly unanimous, it's pretty unanimous. Notes here. I also left my glasses at home, so I'm going to do my best here.
All right.
As I said, my name is Michelle Gillis, and with my husband David, we own a home in Timber Ridge that directly backs to this proposed development. And all of the properties at issue. I first wanted to thank the committee. I personally submitted a ridiculously long letter because I'm a data nerd and I like to get into the nuts and bolts of everything. So if you took the time to read that, I really appreciate it. All of the properties at issue here are part of this neighborhood policy area. And while the county is correct in that it complies with the land use plan and that it's single family, which is a good change, I don't think it complies with the spirit of the land use plan, which purports to protect established areas through context-sensitive infill development, and also provides that all new residential uses should be compatible with surrounding neighborhoods. Timber Ridge was platted in the 1970s. Our home was built in 1983. So I think we qualify as an existing neighborhood that deserves the protection of the land use plan. In this instance, while they're submitting it as a PD, it's realistically R7, which is the highest residential zoning. In contrast, Timber Ridge is R80, which is the least dense residential zoning. So when the land use plan calls from a transitional density, I question, what does that mean? I mean, if we're jumping 6 density designations from R7 to R80, where's the transition? I mean, there's a middle ground. There's a middle ground of R25 or R40, which, as Matthew pointed out, would be lower density, more green space, and more consistent with the surrounding neighborhoods. You go to the next slide. This plan development is wildly inconsistent, quite frankly, with the surrounding properties. They mention Thousand Oaks, but this property doesn't actually share any boundaries with Thousand Oaks. What it does share a boundary with is Timber Ridge, where we're on average 2 acres, and these other large properties like the McCormick Addition and the ones across the street that are zoned R40 and R25. And it's our contention that it should be zoned somewhere in the middle. It should be somewhere between R7 and R80. I set forth in detail on page 16 and 17 of my letter a chart of what all of the surrounding property areas are. But really to put that in a context that's a little bit easier to picture in your mind, our particular house, we have an 86,000 square foot property and about a 3,000 square foot footprint of a house on it. This developer is proposing one house approximately every 10,100 square feet. So you could literally put 8 of those properties and their yards in one Timber Ridge property. That feels like a huge density jump to me. And with regard to the other properties, like the Roberts property, that are on average 3 acres apiece, you could put 13 of these proposed houses into one of those properties. Again, that doesn't feel like a consistent use or a gentle transition of densities. Furthermore, Forest Park seeks to make this huge density jump with really no transition or buffers. So move to the next slide. Our house sits on a property that has a very steep swale. This is a photo that my husband took from the bottom of that swale. You can see how small our house is in comparison. Personally, I have concerns about the drainage and runoff going through this swale as well, even though it wasn't addressed in any of the water runoff documentation. But the result, if you go on, is that these properties will be built and the retention pond in blue at an elevation that's essentially above our backyard. And the developer, in order to level these lots and make them appropriate for the zero entry homes that he proposes, is going to have to build significant retaining walls and move some of that dirt out of the retention pond and build up this ridge even further. So our formerly private backyard that we purchased thinking we're going to have this green space is now going to become a fishbowl because these properties are going to be looking down upon us. And despite stating in the plans that they're leaving a 50-foot buffer, Forest Park's landscape plans doesn't retain any trees along the Timber Ridge properties. Specifically, at proposed lots 42 through 46, the development extends all the way to the boundary lines. With our particular property, there's nothing. I mean, the white goes all the way to our property line. It's kind of, it would be comical if it wasn't so depressing that where they say the trees are to be retained, all of those trees are on our property. I wasn't aware that Forest Park had the right to remove trees on neighboring properties. So saying that that's your buffer and these are the trees to be retained are trees on the adjoining properties is a little disingenuous. In fact, the only place they really retain any trees are along Brinkmeyer. Presumably that's so the homes that they sell will not have to back directly to a busy road and will have green space behind them. But they gain that green space by essentially stealing it from the neighbors, by taking out the trees all the way to the property line with Timber Ridge. Forest Park also proposes to build a lengthy retaining wall along Lot 5, which is our neighbor's property, but it's also kind of the property if we look back. Ours is a pie-shaped lot. Obviously, we don't pinhole view out the back of our house. We see across our neighbor's properties as well. But they propose to build a retaining wall literally right at the property line. And it's a little bit of a head scratcher as to how they propose to do that without trespassing on our properties and our neighbors' properties with heavy equipment and taking out even more trees and underbrush. So having discussed this issue at length with my neighbors, the wooded, quiet, private, spread out nature of our neighborhood is what caused us all to buy and build in Timber Ridge to begin with. I mean, this is why you buy an estate lot-sized property. At pages of 18 through 20 of my letter, I cite several studies reflecting how building high-density units immediately adjacent to a large lot neighborhood does negatively impair the value of those estate-sized homes. Moreover, the fact that Platte County, in their land use plan, specifically acknowledges the need for buffers between higher and lower density residential areas, such as landscape setbacks, berms, fences, and tree preservation, presupposes that an unbuffered high density adjacent use does create a negative adverse effect on the value of surrounding properties. So while Mr. Barth argues, and the county has said, this is really the same as Thousand Oaks, right? Thousand Oaks is R7, that's the highest density, it's the same as Thousand Oaks. Well, what no one mentions is that when they platted Thousand Oaks, they left 3 to 12 and to 12, like the smallest one is 3, the largest one is more than 12 acre plats of wooded land between each plat. So the average house in Thousand Oaks doesn't back to another house, it backs to a wooded green space that extends well beyond the edge of those individual owners' properties. But here, they're not proposing anything like that. The only green space that these homes are going to have are on my property and my neighbor's property. And we're losing a significant amount of our green space and wildlife and woodlands and peace and quiet. All we're really asking here is that they follow the land use plan. The land use plan does say, let's transition densities between higher and the existing neighborhood. It also promises to maintain Platte County's unique rural character, including preservation of the natural environment, including rolling hills, valleys, trees, and vegetation, and limited development with large setbacks and ample open space. 50 feet feels like a pretty minimal setback when you have a 2 acre lot.
Got a minute
loss
and
of
a half.
privacy, the loss of the woodland views, the loss of the peace and quiet, and increased noise and light pollution are exactly the types of harms to existing neighborhoods that the zoning code and the land use plan are meant to prevent. So the other question that I think is important to ask, because I realize all zoning decisions are a balance, right? You're looking for a balance of what does the community need in terms of new housing versus what does the existing homeowner, what do the existing homeowners deserve? Is high density housing actually needed or desirable at this location? And I actually forgot Chapel Ridge. I didn't list it on the slide, but just in the last 5 to 10 years, Chapel Ridge has added 351 high density units. They're basically zero lot line homes. They didn't retain any trees in there. Creekside has added another 1,016 units, with Mr. Mertz planning to add another 246 units. Creekside Village added 44 townhomes. The Woods at Creekside, another 118 high density homes. Thousand Oaks is going to be at 1,300 units.
Got about 30 seconds.
So how much more high density development can the county cram in to the South 45 Highway corridor and still maintain the county's unique rural character and charm? That's why we moved to our home in Timber Ridge. That's why my neighbors moved to their homes in Timber Ridge. That's why the Roberts bought their home. And I feel like we should be able to ask that any approved development be at a lower transitional density like R40, and that this developer would be required to include buffers like larger setbacks and retaining more trees on their own side of the property line. At a minimum, we would ask that the lots that adjoin our neighborhood be required to be larger lots with larger setbacks, like the concessions that the county gave to Countrywood when they put in Chapel Ridge. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Other comments from the audience? We would like to just hear new ideas. If we've already done some, gone over it with Mr. Roberts or Ms. Gillis, we don't need to hear that part again. So, you want to come up in the front, sir? And I'm going to limit individuals to, we'll say 4 minutes. Okay.
All right.
State your name and address for the record, please.
James Ficklin, 14125 Northwest 67th Place.
Promise to tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Go ahead, sir.
I do believe that the people that are coming up in opposition here really have made quite a few good statements about the area and the amount of new housing that we're bringing into that area. And looking at this new plot plan, this is the first time I've seen it. There is a couple of changes I would like to see. At a minimum would be at the ends of each one of these cul-de-sacs, that those cul-de-sacs be made larger around so that if you are moving fire trucks around, they actually do have a nice healthy distance to move their vehicles when turned around. I really would like to see the developer come up with a solution and with one of the properties on the north side to maybe buy some of their property to run an entrance and exit out on the 45 highway, because dropping this entrance right there at Hidden Valley onto Brinkmeyer's Road is already, it's already bad enough. We've got 3 stop signs within like 3/8 of a mile. And when you come out there in the morning, there is traffic that we are fighting. So putting another 100 cars in the morning trying to get out of this place at both morning and night coming home from work, whatever it happens to be, I think that's going to be a significant impact on that. And at a minimum, you have to be a stoplight be installed there. I'm gonna go ahead and end it right now. But I just come up those things like that is what bother me. So I would just think ingress and egress of the place itself and the traffic flow along Brinkmeyer. Because if you don't live along Brinkmeyer or in Thousand Oaks or Hidden Oaks, you're really not seeing what kind of traffic you're doing there. And I know they said that they've done a traffic study. I haven't seen it. Don't know what time of the day they did it in, things like that. So I'm a little doubtful.
All right. Thank you, sir. Come on up in the back there.
Hi,
Raise your right hand, state your name and address for the record, please.
Lynn Lanning, 14485 Northwest 61st Street.
Promise to tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Go ahead, ma'am.
I would like to echo a couple of points. I agree with everything that's been said in opposition. I live in Thousand Oaks. I've lived there 20 years. The one reason we moved there is because of the large wooded areas that have been preserved. So most all of the houses back up to woods, nice space spread out. And I really think it's not right to cram this development so close to Timber Ridge, just with no buffer at all. I also want to ask about sidewalks. I hear there's a sidewalk proposed on Brinkmeyer to Union Chapel Road. What about the brand new elementary school, Angeline Washington, down in the Creekside area? The school buses go up Brinkmeyer every day, and Brinkmeyer from Creekside to this intersection is terrible. And I did not see any improvements on that section from Creekside, where it winds around a lake and it's very narrow. There's no shoulders or anything. So to me, it's not just right there at the Hidden Valley four-way stop. It's several blocks to the west at the Creekside where the brand new elementary school is. And Thousand Oaks now goes all the way to FF, way down to River Road, which that road has all kinds of problems and is due to be redone. We got a notice, MoDOT's going to do something. It's going to be closed for a long time so that the back way out of the neighborhood will be not available for quite some time. So the traffic study, to me, doesn't make sense that they didn't point out these surrounding regions. The roads just aren't sufficient. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else like to speak? Ma'am, come up front. Yeah, the white. State your name and address for the record, please, ma'am. Could you stand in front of one of the microphones?
So I don't have anything prepared.
Promise to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I don't have anything prepared, but as I was listening today, so our property is right behind the Roberts. I am also right off 45 highway. And as you've heard, there's been thousands of new homes put in this area in the last 5 years. I can tell you that as we come to get in our driveway, the amount of traffic that is coming from Creekside up 45 to go into this area is already dangerous. The amount of times I've almost been rear-ended is innumerable at this point. You can slow down, put your blinker on, but my driveway is right there. And the Roberts driveway is right there. This has gotten really dangerous in this area. And all we're doing is adding more traffic. Even though it's supposed to come off this other end, people have to come somewhere to eat. They have to go shopping. They have to go to the schools. There's all these things that they're going to do right here in this area off 45 that is going to make it even more dangerous to the residents that are here. And nobody said anything about the noise pollution. Adding more homes means more ambulances, more fire trucks. You sit out there one night and it is ridiculous how much traffic we have and noise traffic we have already. because we just keep adding more and more and more homes right here. There is no buffer. We've added tons of landscaping to try to buffer the noise, the road noise, but it's just increasing by the day. So I think it's unacceptable to do that to these neighbors. We have over 2.5 acres, and on the side of our property across the creek, which is ours, which I'll get to in a moment, is also green space. Our home is 90 years old. It runs right along this creek. The trees along this creek bed are 90, 100 years old, some of them. And they're eroding and falling into the creek as it is. This area cannot take more water. And what are we going to do to our wildlife? I just think all around it's a bad idea. And we have all these high density homes here. Where are these kids going to go? I was a kid once. I lived right up to Line Creek. We found our way into that creek all the time. We played in that creek all the time. The kids from this neighborhood will follow the creek beds all the way down from the Roberts house, private property, to ours that backs up Timber Ridge. So we're going to have foot traffic we're going to have to deal with too. That's vandalism. That's things being stolen from our property, our barns, all of that. Nobody's put any of that in consideration. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. In the green, you stood up a couple times. Name and address for the record, please.
Andrew Brown, 13405 Northwest Brinkmeyer.
Promise to tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
I'll keep it quick. Sorry, I sent an email out on the April 27th about the traffic study, and a couple more points I just wanted to bring up. Proposed development, like just developing things correctly, and including our infrastructure is important, and not creating more problems. A couple items I thought in the traffic study could be relooked at because I don't think they were adequately addressed. Their traffic distribution of 80 and 20% going east and west on that Brinkmeyer is, I think, very inaccurate. Their own traffic counts suggest a 60-40 split. So that would greatly turn their left and right turns in and out of that intersection there on Northwest or Hidden Valley Road right there where they're entering. They also indicate on 1125 or 24 and in 25 no accidents. I personally witnessed 2 and then wasn't involved in the 3rd. My driveway is right off the intersection right there. Totaled a car completely out, couldn't drive. So I think that traffic study really needs to be readdressed. They don't address any sidewalks. I know this is the first time I heard about the sidewalk that they're going to add, which I wasn't quite clear on the routing of it. But either way, we're putting in single family housing in that area, correct? There's going to be kids. There's going to be a lot of kids crossing that intersection. I don't see any pedestrian crossing, no controlledness of it besides stoplights or stop signs, and those get run all the time. I can hear cars screeching through that intersection numerous times. So just to re-look at that intersection, I think is very warranted. There's also no future development in that considered in there. Thousand Oaks keeps adding houses, more houses will be added. Growth in the area will be added. So they're just today numbers, right? They're not considering future. The emergency routes, he was mentioning driving off into that cul-de-sac from Brinkmeyer. I was kind of confused about that because that's a 10-foot cliff. So I don't think any semi or any fire truck, ambulance can drive through that. So that's just something I heard today that I was quite sure of. The other things I was thinking of driveway impacts. Again, my driveway is right there at the intersection. I have 2 daughters. My neighbor in front of me has 2 daughters, or 3 sons, all about to start entering the elementary age school district. Soon we'll get a stop sign or a bus stop somewhere around there to pick up those 5 kids. That traffic, there's no sidewalks between there. And I'm not saying they might have to help develop it. Like they have to develop it. Something needs to be considered all the way through there to the butterfly area. I think that'd be great to be able to walk down the butterfly roundabout with children and stuff like that. But near there, that's not necessarily the problem either. But anyway, there's a couple of things that in that traffic study they didn't address. A lot of the schools, all the electric development. Again, I think this area is growing, which is great. But that traffic study does not indicate that Frank Myers adequately sized and for future use. That traffic is very busy. Someone mentioned multiple stoplights in a short distance. It's stop and go, and the shoulders aren't very wide. So just thought I'd bring those points out. And also the southern border, they mentioned 50-foot setbacks. Their drawings alone show a 30. I think that'd be needed to look into as well. And I'm not sure exactly what 50 is required. It's center line of road, but they indicate 30-foot setback, not a 50. There's also another drainage outlet that comes through underneath my driveway into the back of those two houses. There's quite a bit of flow that runs right through there. I don't know if the drainage strategy included that, but you're going to flood some houses right there, and backing that up underneath the road and into the two properties south of the street. That drainage study didn't mention anything about that. They show culvert, I think they add, but nothing about flow. So,
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. We'll get the guy in the back. Name and address for the record, please.
Joe Stewart, 6570 Northwest Union Chapel Road. It's at 64152.
Promise to tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Mr. Stewart.
Thank you. I represent Nolan Estates, which is just south there. I think we've got 79 acres there. You all recently reapproved us for rezoning. I think it was R25. And kind of the same thing. In the spirit of kind of keeping things right around there. I'm just going to speak for my crew and say that we support our friends in Timber Ridge and the notion to zone it to lower density. The traffic is terrible on Union Chapel Road in particular. I've lived there for 10 years. When I did the data analysis 2 years ago, the number of cars that create events on my camera system doubled since we moved in. And that's largely due to the other developments that have been going on. It's natural thing. So I'm just going to not reiterate all the other points, but traffic is terrible. And then we deal with water on the property a lot differently. It's a constant battle. We have rolling hills. There's tons of wildlife, got cameras everywhere out there. And I know that they go right across the street into what is currently the green space. So those are some other little things, but by and large, just as the spokesperson for Nolan Estates, we don't necessarily agree with the rezoning at the current rate. We would like something that's more reflective or more aligned with what is adjacent and then right across from it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Name and address for the record, please.
Matthew Arnold, 6205 North Whiteoak Drive, Marco, 64152.
Go ahead, Mr. Reynolds.
You can swear.
Oh, promise to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Awesome. Thank you.
Here.
Yes. Did I miss anybody else?
I think you got everybody else.
Okay. Okay.
One thing I didn't hear said tonight, again, thank you all for your time. I appreciate your patience. Taxes. It seems to me the existing developments in the corridor were built under the tax increment financing. I haven't heard any discussion. I do realize that that means that the 364 units that thrive at Creekside, the 296 Meadows at Creekside, the Woods at Creekside with 44, Parkville Flats, the 45 at Creekside that's now leasing and still isn't finished. That's 700 high density rental units built or approved before this even starts. And they don't pay property taxes the way we do. Their money doesn't all flow into the schools. So we're getting all of this population density, but we're not getting the tax base. I realize that, Mr. Barth's development does bring in single family homes that will pay personal property taxes, but we're all being burdened by that. And I don't think 50 houses are necessarily going to improve that. But I would like to see, how the taxes on that development are going to be set. And then the last thing, I realize this is a county issue, but the Parkville 2040 master plan in its own text states that the area is already, quote, expanding exponentially with new apartments, shifting the density dynamic within the community. The planners saw this coming. They already named it, and we get to decide whether or not that means anything. Thanks.
Thanks, sir. Any other comments? Come on up. I was waiting for Jackie to pass in front. Name and address for the record, please. Promise to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Go ahead, ma'am.
I am the engineer from RL Buford that was assisting Dave on this project. So I just wanted to defend a few things that were brought up about both the stormwater study and the traffic impact study. The traffic impact study, we use the crash reports that are reported to Missouri Highway Patrol and the police. So if a crash is not reported to the police, we can't count that in the study. So that is perhaps a discrepancy that Mr. Brown was referring to. Also, I think the traffic is there's a perception issue because all of these intersections along Brinkmeyer Road operate at a level of service A. With this development, they will continue to operate at a level of service A, which is the most efficient, low delay. He brought up trip distribution. Again, with the low numbers of trips generated by this development, even if I had assigned 100% to eastbound, it still wouldn't warrant a turn lane. And then as far as the stormwater study, so at this point in the design stage, the county requires that the release rates are below existing conditions. So in the study, the 1 year storm, the existing condition is 68 cubic feet per second, and the proposed condition is 15. So we are going well below the existing condition. So we believe we are leaving this land better than what it is now. There's a lot of offsite water that does come through this property. And so that's why we are proposing both the dry detention on the south side to slow it down before it reaches the wet bottom retention pond. Additionally, the Army Corps of Engineers defines a dam as a structure that is 25 feet tall or has 15-foot acres of storage, which this pond does not meet either of those requirements. So it is not technically a dam.
So it's not what?
A dam.
Technically a dam. So we've satisfied all of the conditions that were placed on us by the county and the road district as far as the traffic impact study and the stormwater study. Hobie's reviewed both of those and has signed off on those. So I would hope you would trust his expertise on those.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Barth, would you like to make any final statements? We'll need you to come up if you're gonna.
So that's for Forest Park, my brother and I for approval for this, we're hoping you see that we've gone the extra mile here and changed lots of things. Very proud of the item in front of us. Like I said, I think the biggest issue is you got an existing creek that goes through it, and then you hit 45 highway, which is a busy road, but we don't connect out. We don't own that property in that part. But that's why I think
it's important this time to do a little more due diligence on the detention bases as far as when they're implemented and put in. So if we are fortunate enough to get your house approval, then, we're going to make sure that we get everything in infrastructure. And, I think, and what we've gone through is that we dramatically reduce the amount of water that's, going through that creek, whether it's, on a certain velocity, so we're real proud of the design and, look at it.
Do you mind answering some questions if we have?
Mr. Barth, on that very west line, I'm assuming you're going to leave as many trees on that west and that northwest corner as you can. That was one of the, I know you're a developer, you got to tear a lot of that stuff out, but I mean, see that west line? Is there going to be any consideration? Is that what that step down is?
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I was saying is, I know I can do a little better job once we're actually bringing the exactly the specifics of any wall that we're doing there. But reason we would set that like that was to either keep more trees or not disturb. We would not be going on anybody else's property.
Right.
Sure you, but it's really more for the aesthetics and being able to get so that break style plan there and maybe make it more of a premier backyard for people that will live in Owens, because I'm sure that they would want, they're not here because we're not doing that issue.
Yeah.
But that'll be in very detail. Those walls will all match anything that we do out on the landscape walls. That won't be just one wall there, but also just for that. For aesthetics.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the applicant? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. Floor is closed for discussion amongst the board. John, Mark? Comments?
Jason, where's Jason? Can you put up that diagram of this development with the one just south of it? I mean, there's talk of a lot of this development not matching. It seems like it.
You want to see that?
Well, no, I mean, on the
aerial? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Yep. Gotta go backwards.
Okay.
If I go too fast, it'll lock up.
Okay. That's what I wanted.
Okay.
Go back. Right there. I can't see why that, yeah.
You can't look.
I just can't see why that doesn't match. I mean, it's kind of the same formula right through there. I mean, it might even be a little bit bigger.
Lot size are probably
The lot size.
about the same, like a little bit bigger.
Square footage wise, if that was R7 in Hidden Valley, then that would be 7,000 square feet. And these are between 8 and 21,000. So
Okay.
they're all going to be a little bit larger.
And where was, when the man and sir right there in the code talked about the dam is going to be so much higher. Where is that on that map? It's in that little notch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually that, according to this, it'd be right there in that
Okay.
flat area.
Yeah.
So both of you all live right north of that, correct? Yeah. Okay. Okay. I never did get clarification on where that was. Okay.
Right here is the.
I can't see your cursor.
Your cursor is not up.
Oh, let me turn my. Sorry,
Not there.
right there.
There you go.
There's his house and this Mr. Sayers' house is one of these here. Or Ms. Sayers' house, sorry. Yeah, he's there too.
Oh, yeah. There's a creek run down from here then?
Yeah, it goes down across underneath the windows and that's smart.
Yeah, I've got a quick question on this, the handout we got today here. I noticed I was reading through it and it talks there at the end, it's dated April 10th. I read through it and it talks about high density multifamily. So I'm wondering, it looks to me like this petition is really not truly designed for what we're talking about today, I guess.
Right.
It should have been updated and re-signed
I
maybe.
noticed that, yeah.
It's just a little deceiving.
You mind, do you know the exhibit number on that? Which petition are you talking about?
3B7.
This one we got today, that,
3B.
The Timber Bridge.
3B7.
yeah, yeah.
Another one too.
I will say that I drive through Bella Ridge twice a day and it is a beautiful neighborhood. I don't live in it. I live in a house that I bought 25 years ago and was obviously Bella Ridge was nothing then. And that neighborhood is stunning. Driving through it twice a day with the manicured lawns, it looks very sharp. Not that anybody's going to be driving through this subdivision because it is definitely not a pass through. How long ago was 45 highway widened to 4-lane there?
10 years ago. probably.
Yeah, it's been phases.
It's been phases.
Okay.
It's been going on.
Yeah, for a long time.
I would say the roundabout at K was probably 20 years, 15, 20 years ago. And then probably not too long after that, they extended it all the way out to Brinkman.
Okay.
Which has been complete for 10 to 8 to 10 years. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? I'm sorry, ma'am, the floor is closed. I understand. Okay. I understand. I understand, ma'am. Any other discussion? Okay, okay, look. Think on this condition. Right. Let's see if I can't figure out where the. Found it. It's here somewhere. All right. Entertain a motion for agenda item 3B
Move to approve agenda item 3B
with
with conditions
that were
listed in the staff report.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Gary seconds. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed?
Motion is denied.
Erica, you weren't
I
here.
wasn't here, I can't.
You could, but Diana, were you here?
So everyone know what to do, just have to help with it.
Jason said, yeah, item did not pass.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's denied.
Anybody review the minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I was here at the meeting and I reviewed the minutes. They look to be in order. And I would move to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes is John seconds. All in favor of approval of the minutes, raise your right hand. All opposed, all abstaining. Did you get that, Jackie?
I got it.
Abstain.
Mark and Erica abstained. Other business in the staff report.
We have next meeting, June 16th. In this room at 6 PM. I have, what do we have? 3 rezonings and a preliminary plat.
Motion to adjourn.
I motion
Second.
adjourn.
Did you get everybody? All in favor of adjournment?
Who seconded it?
Erica did.
All right.
Chris made the motion.
Yep, got it.
Meeting adjourned.
Some of the cooks are mine, but that's fine.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's getting better.
So you should probably stop breaking it.
Yeah, right. Get advice from you.
Have a good.
Thanks. I had to take the one out a year ago. Didn't heal in.
Oh, wow. And they took, that's your fault?
They say it got loose at some point. Enjoyed every minute of it, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Lots of lovely reading, that's what it can be.
It is,
Yeah.
it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Be careful with the next one.
Oh.
I've never been. This.
You're beautiful.
Yeah,
Happy Halloween. Yeah. You're mad about your head? So I just.
They turned the thing off.
I know. There's no proof. All right, I'm gonna just say hi to Mr. White.
Oh, you're gonna be sympathy for
Yeah.